to avoid when redesigning your website. And we've got Dawn Jager will be coming on shortly from Acumatica. She's the Director of Partner Recruiting. She is sponsoring this webinar. Thank you so much, Dawn. And then we also have Jean-Michel Bernstein with us. He's the founder of Emarcom. And Jean, you want to say hello to the audience?
Hello, audience. How are you?
So Jean-Michel has quite extensive experience with website programming, so we'll be going over his credentials in a minute. But as far as ERP VAR is concerned, Kathy Graham and I founded ERP VAR back in 2012. We both have a lot of experience in the marketing and sales arena for ERP software. We've been in this industry since 1997, both of us. Kathy Graham started at Sage Software as a channel manager in 1997. I actually started in the SAP Oracle space in 1997 doing sales for a third party that integrated with SAP, Oracle, PeopleSoft, back then Siebel, CRM, and then that's how I got interested in the marketing arena. We both worked together at Sage Software from 2000 to 2005. Kathy went to Avalara, worked with channel partners in a channel management role from 2006 to 2008. And then she went to Intuit in 2008 to 2012. And John, I hear a little bit of feedback on your line. So I just asked if the panelists could mute their line while not speaking. That would be awesome. And then she went to Intuit from 2008 to 2012. And then I myself worked for a channel partner, much like you out there listening in. From 2005 to 2009, I worked for DeRosa Mangold Consulting, and several partners were retained under Mike DeRosa's umbrella to retain me as a sales and marketing specialist. And then in 2009, I started Sales Optimization Solutions and worked there for 4 years, and then started ERP VAR in 2012 along with Kathy. And some of our clients are probably recognizable to you, V Technologies. They're the developers of the Starship shipping software that automates shipping with Dynamics GP, Sage Software, Epicor, some of the major ERP systems out there. Scanco, mainly a Sage product that automates warehouse management. American Payment Solutions does credit card processing. Clients First, E2B Technologies, and many, many more partners out there. So as far as Jean-Michel, John, I'm going to go ahead and let you speak to your slide.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, I've been in the interactive space since 1998, and my story started off, I don't know if you guys remember those little CD-ROM business cards that came out years and years ago, and there were these multimedia presentations, basically PowerPoints on steroids. And so my company, we just started creating those, and as the internet got faster and faster and faster, we found ourselves going more and more online. Excuse me. And so I've worked with Fortune 500 companies from HBO, Disney, Marriott, all the way down to your locals, little hospitals in the area, or even some auto shops and so forth. So I've worked agency side as well with on Allergan and some of the Botox and Latisse brands. I've done some work with B of A, Mitsubishi Motors, and so forth. So I'm kind of a nerd. I will call myself a nerd that I love websites, building websites. I'm the techie. So I really specialize in a content management system called WordPress, which is a really fantastic platform. It runs about 20% of the internet right now. And I do HTML programming and website design. So that's about me.
And I know that many, many business partners out there that represent ERP systems use WordPress. I would say probably about 90% of them have had some sort of experience with WordPress over their career. So hopefully everybody is familiar with WordPress, and we'll go ahead and move on here. So we're going to be talking about website redesign mistakes to avoid. And so first we're going to be talking about how important it is to benchmark those current performance metrics. We really need to understand what we're looking to accomplish with our website. And we need to understand where our leads are coming from the internet, what pages are most popular, and what is driving people to those pages. And we don't want to lose any of those assets, any of those pages. Analyze your competitors. It's really important to analyze what your competitors are doing, the market leaders, understand what's working for them, and see if you can implement some of that strategy. Understand why customers and prospects are visiting your website so you don't lose any of that compelling content that's driven them there in the first place when you're going through a redesign. Identify what makes you different compared to those competitors, and why do people do business with you? What is that unique selling proposition that drive people to network with you and collaborate with you? You want to optimize your content for search when you're creating it. So you need to understand what your keyword terms are, understand what your target market is searching for ultimately, because you want those pages that you design and you spend so much money on to be indexed in the search engines ultimately over time if they aren't already. So that's the goal, and knowing what your keyword strategy is key. So placing those strong call to actions on those highly trafficked pages is very important as well. So once somebody visits your pages, they actually convert into a contact that you can reach out and call or email market to. So it's very important to have something for them to click on and download or register for a webinar, kind of like everybody's done with this webinar today. And then you really understand that you are the expert in the industry. You're the one that people do business with. So I look at websites like they're people, and it's just a place where you can network, especially now with social media. And so if you can commit to an ongoing content strategy where you're integrating your keywords and everything into a long-term commitment of blogging and creating those index pages, because every single blog is an indexed page, or creating more index pages or landing pages, whatever it is your content strategy. You want to spread out your real estate over the internet and share your expertise, just like you do when you're networking and talking to people, and that's why your business partners collaborate with you. So your website is no different. It's just an opportunity where you can become known over the internet.
Yeah, and if I can interject, content really is king out there. Google is really looking for that type of content. They're looking for websites that are authorities on the subject, and so don't be afraid to put content out there and really just say what you know, because people can't read your mind. So if you know certain things, I would really encourage to put that content on your website.
And working with business partners over the years, I've come to know that a lot of times they're afraid to say the wrong thing, or to appear not to be the expert, or to appear to be judged among their own colleagues or peers, and so they kind of get in their own way when it comes to publishing content, because they don't view the content as perfect in their mind. So it takes them a long time to actually push something out there because they don't want to be perceived wrong, but they're not going to be perceived at all unless they take that step to get their content out.
Yeah, and I think to that point, I think it's important to say that different people explain certain things different ways. So even though there are other people out there that might be quote-unquote better or more of authority on a subject than you, I'd really encourage you to go out there and say it your way, because maybe the way you say it will resonate with other people.
Good point. So don't fail to benchmark your current performance metrics is our first point on the agenda. So benchmark the number of visits or visitors that your site gets before you go into a website redesign. Analyze your existing site over its entire history. Each of your pages has a unique relationship with the internet. It is a different URL than the rest of your pages, and that's what distinguishes it from other pages on the internet. So it has its own authority. Every page on the internet has a certain amount of authority, and it competes with every other page on the internet for a certain set of keyword terms. So every time you every single day, that page can grow in authority or lose authority. So when you're going through a website redesign, if that page happens to be indexed in the search engines and you change the URL or delete the URL, then you are then it is it's losing its place in the search engines because that is a link. So it's not just how your website looks, it's how it performs. So you might have this great new design, but if you lose your pages, then you're going to be losing your links. So you have to keep in mind to make sure you're setting up those redirects correctly and you're maintaining your domain authority. And I think of one pretty large partner that I worked with in the past who hired a new marketing person, came on board, and that marketing person ended up changing the entire marketing department and hiring a very high-priced design firm to redesign their entire website and all of their marketing and branding. And they lost their website traffic went down to a third of the traffic as it was, and they had an older website for a number of years, and they never went through a redesign. And then this marketing person came on and did an entire revamp of their branding and marketing strategy. But when the design firm, very high priced design firm, launched their website, their traffic was severely impacted because they did not do these benchmarks of their current performance metrics. They didn't know what pages they lost, and so they actually had this great looking site, but lost a lot of its authority and search engine traffic. Their search engine traffic was down to a minimum because of those pages that had been indexed and they didn't realize what they had lost. So I always like to use an example to put it in perspective that your business can be severely hindered if you have a lot of authority and you have a lot of links that a lot of your partners, referral partners that you collaborate with, that are pointing back to your website, giving you that authority, and you lose those pages, then you're not going to be getting the visits that you used to get. So thus you will not get the new lead conversions or submissions that you used to receive with your old website. So it's very important to take the inventory and
Yeah,
understand.
and it's pretty easy to find out what pages are performing better than others. So if ever you need any help, we can help.
Perfect. So don't fail to set goals. So it's important to focus on one of the following. So focus is key in marketing because you can be all over the board. So if you set your goals and you understand that maybe you have 400 visits a month, well, it's our experience that we want to get those visits up to at least 2,000 visits a month before you can start seeing those conversions coming in. So that's a good benchmark with our experience for a business partner, is to drive, if you're going through a website redesign and your goal is to get people to convert on forms or call you on the phone, you want to get at least 2,000 visits a month. So if you measure your website traffic at under 400 or under 2,000, the goal would be to get you over 2,000 visits a month, and then you might start seeing those contact conversions. So if you're over 2,000 visits a month and you're not seeing those contact conversions, then another good solid goal goal would be is to go after the contacts so that you can get over 2,000, so you are over 2,000 visits a month, and now you're going to be seeing those prospects are converting on your forums to download your white papers, register for your webinars, etc. If you are seeing 20 to 30 conversions a month, and you're not seeing those conversions turn into customers, then you might be wanting to focus on your sales goals. You want to convert those prospects to customers if they're qualified coming in on your forums because you're properly targeting your markets and you know the personas that you're writing your content for, and you just aren't seeing them convert into customers. So that's another goal. So you're getting website conversions, you're over 2,000 visits a month, you're getting over 30 conversions a month on your forums, and you're just not seeing the prospects turn into customers. Well, then you have a sales issue. So focus is key in marketing to understand how you want to push those prospects or those people visiting your website from the awareness stage to the conversion stage and then to the customer stage. So you want to push them through the buyer's funnel and understanding the benchmarks that you want to get to the next level of a goal. So if you're at 400 visits, it might take you 6 months to a year to get to 1,000 visits, or 6 months to a year to get to 2,000 visits. It depends on how much resources you have to put into your content generation. And so you need to have the proper goal to understand where you're going to set your goals. You want to be able to understand how you're going to get to the next level of goals. So you have to have that timeline, and then you have to understand, what budget it's going to take you to get there, and just be realistic, because it does take a lot of work to get a new ERP software sale off of the internet, but it's well worth it once you do, right? Because that customer over the life of the customer could easily be over $200,000. So it takes a little bit of time and strategy to make it happen.
And if I can interject real quick, also not all traffic is the same. You want traffic to be, potential customers of yours, because sometimes there are things out there that say, well, I'll drive a whole bunch of traffic to your website, but if you get a whole bunch of the wrong kind of traffic, you're just wasting your time and money. So it's better to go slow and do it right than to try to do it artificially and just all of a sudden get a bunch of traffic that doesn't do you any good.
So that's where your expertise comes in, and building that content around your target personas, your target market, and syndicating that content to the proper social media channels and the proper press release content so that you are reaching that target market, and those are the qualified people that are visiting your website. So don't fail to understand the source of your traffic and the result to that point. So social media, do you know which of the marketing channels are bringing you the most customers? Do you know if it's social media? Do you know if it's an organic search versus a paid search? Do you know if your referral marketing, so like if you partner with the third parties and they have links, do you know if they're sending traffic your way? Do you know if there's conversions occurring as a result? Do you know if your email marketing is rendering you contact conversions? Maybe you're having a webinar like we're having today, and people fill out the form and attend your webinar. Did that come from email marketing, or did that come from a social media syndication of that landing page, the registration landing page? It's key to know what's working for you and what's converting the prospects into the visitors into prospects or contacts that you can call. And then are they just visiting your website? Or are they turning into buyers? So it's really important to understand which channels are driving the most customers, right? And converting into ROI for you. And then you have to kind of step backwards to see where they're visiting from and how many are filling out forms, and then how many people are ultimately buying. And so understanding that before you go through a website redesign is very important, because you could be losing people with your new website redesign. So you have to do something if you're losing the amount of conversions coming in, or the amount of visits coming into a page, or maybe they're bouncing off that page quicker because they're not interested in the content. You have to be in tune with what your target market wants to see and what compels them to stay on your website and fill out those forms. So that brings us to avoid losing compelling content. So understand what's popular on your current website, understanding what is being shared through social media, how long people are viewing each of your individual pages. Are they targeted people coming in? Are those pages indexed in the search engines? Are you getting search traffic from those pages? Chances are, if you have content that is compelling and it's shared through the social media, then it will be indexed in the search engines because it's popular. So the search engines are looking at popular, compelling content. As Jean-Michel said, it's very important to keep pushing new content out into the social media and sharing it through a wide audience so that it can uh, proliferate through other people who see it on the social media, then they share it. So each of those shares, when somebody likes your content or when somebody comments on your content, that's another social media link that's pointing back to your content, that sends a social signal to the search engines. Hey, this content is being shared, it's liked, it's being consumed by the target market, and it's all an algorithm, right? That's giving that page a score for being shared, and it's becoming popular in the search engines, and then it's becoming more trafficked, right? So you're getting more visits to those individual pages.
And one thing I would really suggest doing is not only just looking at your social media to see what kind of traffic you're getting, but also see what they're actually saying and in the words that they're using. Because sometimes you might be using one word and optimizing for that particular keyword, but in the social media environment, they're actually using a different type of word or a different way to say the same thing. So you can take that intelligence and use the terms that people are actually using in social media back onto your website and modify your content to speak the language that they're speaking.
Good point. Okay, so number 5 is analyze your competition and outrank your competition in search. It's very important to build a keyword strategy. And, we had a lead come in here to ERP VAR that turned out to be over $189,000 cloud ERP sale. And they were a veterinarian supply company that had over 20 locations, and they came in from a keyword search about outgrowing QuickBooks. So we understand that they came in from a keyword search from outgrowing QuickBooks because they had 20 different locations that were on a QuickBooks Enterprise Edition, separate QuickBooks Enterprise Edition for each individual location. So they came into our website, called us, and we gave it to a partner, and that partner ended up closing it for over $189,000, and it was a cloud ERP implementation. So understanding what the competition is trying to search engine optimize for, and then exceeding your competition by building your content around that keyword and having more content about that keyword and having more people share that content. And so then you have more authority than the competitors for that content. If you have press releases or other sites like Find Accounting Software might be pointing back to that page, or Software Advice, or Tech Target, or someone that's seen you on the internet might reference your blog because it's so well written by an expert like yourself that they believe that they want to reinforce your blog or reinforce their own blog or their content with your expertise. and it reinforces your keyword optimization, and they point back to it with a hyperlink in their blog. So that pushes authority to you, because that tells the search engines that you should have authority for that keyword term because these highly authoritative websites are saying so, or these social media profiles are saying so. So every single page on the internet, every single social media profile out there signifies a page on the internet. And those pages that point back to you are what drive authority to your website. So we at ERP VAR get probably about 80% of our traffic from the search engines. So every single day we get way more traffic from the search engines than we do social media, direct traffic, email marketing, any of that stuff. So it's because our content is written by you, the partner, and it has authority because you have expertise. So you know what you're talking about, and then everyone else on the internet sees, and then they point back to your content, therefore driving authority to our pages because we get it out in front of the audience. So you want to follow a consistent content publishing schedule. You want to design your pages with your target market and your target persona in mind, so that when you push it out to those relevant social media profiles for that target market or LinkedIn groups, for example, then it resonates with them because you have your keywords that they understand in your content. So you're writing for your target market, and your target market is helping you optimize for those keyword terms. So it's not about hiring a search engine optimization expert that knows little about your industry and paying them to optimize your content. It's not about programming, it's about popularity and getting in front of your market who shares your own keywords in their social media profiles, and having everything relate back to that piece of content, which is an index page on your website, and everyone else authenticates it with their social share or their website pointing back to that page for that same hyperlink and on their website, giving you authority for that keyword term. So you want to design your pages to get those targeted publications to point back to your keyword term, because those publications like Tech Target have a ton of authority, and they give it to you every time they reinforce your piece of content with their link. And the goal is to get in front of those targeted publications. Well, how else are you going to do that than using social media and making sure that piece of content is compelling enough for them and it's not promotional in any way for them to point back to you as the authority. So you want to design your website with your strategic partners in mind, your third parties that you work with for shipping software, for warehouse management, whatever it may be. You want to design your website in a way that will make them want to reference your material in a hyperlink. So again, we want to design our site by targeting our target buyer personas. Who are our target buyer personas? What industries are they in? What are their titles? Are they CFOs? Are you writing about reconciling the general ledger? Well, you probably want to put CFO in your content. What demographics are they? How old are they? Where are they? What do they like? What are their problems that they're trying to solve for? Are they educated? What school did they go to? What are their needs? And what influences, do they use for personal and business success? So, what publications do they read? Who are they connected with that have clout? So you want to understand as much as you can about the buyer persona that you're writing for.
And one thing we do this all the time in terms of website design and so forth, that sometimes if my target market is a less sophisticated, more, if it's a B2C type of sale and that consumer, it tends to be a little bit more less sophisticated. Let's just keep with that. The websites are going to be super simple, big buttons, big text, nothing too flashy. Whereas if I'm going for another highly advanced target market that is definitely sophisticated and expects certain things, then the design is different as well. So you really, really have to adjust your not only selling proposition, but the design, the look, the content. When you're talking to construction people, you talk one way than you would if you're talking to an attorney law firm or so forth. So it's really important to know who you're talking to.
And what really sets you apart from the rest of the partners out there that they could do business with, the rest of the ERP software resellers that they could do business with? What is it? Do you focus on the marine industry? Do you focus on the electrical supply industry? Do you focus on distribution or manufacturing? Maybe you focus on make-to-order manufacturing. So what is your unique selling proposition? What sets you apart for that specific target persona that you're writing for? And keeping that focus is so key in mind, because you want to be laser focused on what their problems are that you can solve for, because that's your core competency. So always ensuring that it's consistent across your entire website. And they say that the average person has an 8-second attention span. So if they go to one page, they might forget what that page was about. So if you're consistent on all of your pages about what it is that you can do for them, then you're going to impress upon them and they're going to remember you. So answering that or solving for that problem is very, very important, and focusing in on what your core competencies are and not trying to be everything to everyone, because if you try to be everything to everyone, then you're not going to be anything to anyone. They're just going to they're going to not understand what it is that you do. So pick something, or pick 2 things or 3 things, but don't pick everything, and be very consistent. And then what is it that you're doing right for your target market? So the prospects that are in the bottom of the buyer's funnel, in that consideration stage where they might buy your software, you want to make sure that you have those success stories and things of that nature that they can relate with about customers in their industry that have achieved success because of your expertise. And that's what really differentiates you, because all of these ERP softwares, some of them are, have more of an industry focus than others, but it's really you that cause these people to buy. It's not, the ERP. It's your expertise in implementing the ERP that's right for your target market. So we want to target those specific buyer personas, like we just mentioned. So that's 6 on the list: industry, title, demographic, motivations, concerns, personal histories, what problems are they trying to solve for, what influences do they look up to in the industry, and then that's how you can kind of identify where they live. And also, it's really easy to go on to LinkedIn and reach thousands of people in a group in LinkedIn if your content is compelling and non-promotional. If you're just trying to always have that mindset that you're helping your target market, that you want to identify maybe mistakes to avoid for them, then they want to read your content because they don't want to make those mistakes. So you have so much experience because you work with hundreds of companies over the course of your career that might have, the same types of general ledger mistakes. So maybe you document top 10 mistakes to avoid in reconciling a general ledger, or general ledger reconciliation mistakes. And then, by the way, if you automate this stuff, then you'll get an ROI on that automation. But not talking about the ROI on the automation, talking about the mistakes to avoid, and then maybe having a white paper call to action. And then you're tapping into their pain and you're talking about solving their problems. And people want to avoid mistakes and they want an expert to help consult them. And they often, in the top of the funnel, in the awareness stage, they want that for free. So get them in the top of the funnel and push them down the funnel, and then you'll achieve success. So don't fail to optimize your site for search. So in writing your content, always keep those keywords in mind. For instance, we have a blog that's very specific to Sage 100 on our website, how to create a credit memo in Sage 100. If you do a Google search, I think that we come up #1 for a whole different, all different variations of a keyword search around credit memo and Sage 100. And this is not a Pulitzer Prize winning blog, but it gets hundreds of visits every month on ERP VAR for Sage 100 because those customers out there don't know how to create a credit memo in Sage 100, so they go to Google and say create Sage 100 credit memo. And since this page was syndicated in social media and was shared at its time, it was indexed in the search engines, and now we get a ton of people who are coming to our website looking for a way to create a credit memo in Sage 100. It's a step-by-step blog, and it's serving up the exact content that they're looking for. So if we did a website redesign and somehow lost that page, then we would lose all that traffic associated with that page. And these days, in order for your content to be indexed in the search engines, there is a score that each of the search engines give. And for example, if it's not mobile optimized and Google sees that it's not mobile optimized, then it's going to be dinged as far as authority is concerned. Even if you've got other websites authenticating your authority, you want to make sure it's mobile optimized. And Jean-Michel, could you talk a little bit about mobile optimization?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. Mobile optimization has really become a very important part of the whole search algorithm. Google recognizes, and in some industry, mobile traffic to websites can be over 50%. Not for all industries, but in some industries. And so having a mobile site is critical. Just look at yourself and your own patterns. How often do you open up your phone to look up something? And whereas it used to be that a website is required just like it would be to have a business card, now that website has to be mobile is really the minimum for people to actually take your business kind of seriously and so forth. So the mobile is really important. There's other parts as well that I kind of wanted to talk about here in the search is security for websites. A lot of companies overlook security, thinking that I don't need to make my website secure because I don't have any content on there that people are going to want to take, or I'm not collecting credit card information, I'm not collecting personal user information and whatnot. Well, to be honest with you, a lot of these hackers, they don't care what's on your website. They're just looking for a server that is vulnerable. And a vulnerable server is what these hackers are targeting. They create thousands and thousands of these servers around the world, and then it's those servers that they use to transmit their bad stuff. Everything from malware to Viagra advertisements and all that stuff. We've all seen it. And unfortunately, what happens is that if your server is compromised, and you could not even know that it's compromised unless you start looking at some of the bandwidth reports of your server and so forth. But if your server is compromised, well, Google throws up a red flag, not even yellow. They go straight to red, and they can blacklist your domain, which is the absolute worst thing that could possibly happen to you from a website presence. So here you've been working really hard to get your pages ranked high with the search engines, you're doing your blog content, you're doing all this keyword optimization, and then all of a sudden here comes some hacker in some part of Eastern Europe, I don't mean to pick on Eastern Europe, but whatever, that they go in there and they hack your server. Next thing you know, your server is acting as an email relay to be sending a bunch of emails trying to sell some whatever spam, and there goes your domain. You've just been blacklisted by Google. Now, is Google just absolute black and white in terms of you're in trouble with this? Well, you can resolve it, and now you're spending time and energy trying to fix it, and it will take a while to do so. But in the meantime, it's a lost opportunity. And then what happens if some of your prospective customers come to your site and they notice that it could have been hacked blatantly by having some kind of spam message or whatnot actually put on the site? Another bad scenario would be is if the hackers attack your site and they put some malware on there. So here comes some guy looking to buy some ERP system or doing some research, and all of a sudden they get a virus to the computer. Do you think they would actually come back to your website because they said, well, I visited this site and now I have this virus, and so they don't care what you're selling or how well you sell it or what your actual cost is, they're just going to stay away. So security is really, really important, and I think, unfortunately, a lot of companies overlook it. WordPress is being used about 20% of the internet. It's a great platform. However, if left to its own devices, it can be very, very vulnerable, and there definitely needs to be some proactive measures that you can take. Now, can you guarantee absolute never hacking? No, you can't, unless even Target, Bank of America, all these companies have been hacked, but they have these resources that are spending hours, a team of security experts protecting their site. So hackers attack the lowest hanging fruit, the easiest and most vulnerable servers. So just make sure that your server is not one of those vulnerable ones. So sorry, I kind of went off on a little tangent there.
And there's some common things that are available in WordPress too that help sites get optimized in the search engine. So even though WordPress can be vulnerable without the right type of security measures and an expert helping consult you in making sure that your site is secure, because it can be vulnerable, but there are ways to make sure that it's secure to ensure more security. It's an easy to navigate content management system. The content management system organizes your content in such a way that allows you to make sure that you have the proper tags and that you're categorizing your content properly, and that you can constantly create content creation. And WordPress is virtually free, correct, Jean-Michel? Like the application itself.
Yeah, the framework itself is, and what is nice is Google actually does really like WordPress. I don't mean to sound like a WordPress advertisement here, but they really do like it because it's a blog-based type software, and so you can tag your content in different ways so that it makes it. The science behind all of this is called UX UI, user experience, user interface, and so it's a combination of an art and a science, so that when somebody comes to your website, it's appealing. They go, oh wow, this is cool. Let me try to figure out how to go about getting the information I want. If they get frustrated, or if they can't find it, or if it's not intuitive, or they have to scroll down, a long ways just to get to the content, it's not a good user experience. So organizing your content in a way that a user can easily get to where they want to go, find what they're looking for, and also creating it in such a way that you want to keep them there. You want to get them reading more and more pages, so cross-linking that information, linking one blog to the next. You've seen this before, related blogs, related content. So it's really important to take all of that in, because it's all about the experience, and a lot of people will do business with companies that they just have a good feeling about than others. So.
And so just to make sure that even if you don't use WordPress and you might use some other CMS, just make sure that it will set up the content for you in a way to easily navigate, and that you can tag and categorize your content. Those are the two key things that you want to make sure your content management system provides it in a template form for you to easily implement, because most of you out there are great marketers, but you might not be programmers and be able to create a content management system on your own, or you might be programmers, but you might want to spend your time elsewhere. So WordPress just has a easy template-driven interface where you can just create blogs and make sure and it makes sure that you have an area where you can tag, categorize, and there are some search engine optimization tools that you can plug into WordPress, like Yoast, that allow you to easily populate your meta descriptions, which is another area that you want to make sure you have your keywords in. You want to make sure you have your keywords in the headline, and we're going to review that right now. So you don't need to hire a separate SEO expert. A lot of times, in my experience working in this industry, the ERP consultants out there believe that they need to hire an SEO expert or a programmer to somehow tap into Google and get their pages indexed. It's not rocket science. It's just putting your expert information out there and getting it in front of the right eyeballs to consume your information. So you really just need to be a marketer, and you just need to do some basic things to your content to make sure that they are indexable by the search engine, so the search engines can identify what the page is about. So focus on 1 to 2 keywords per page. Do not try and have every page have 10 different keywords that you're trying to optimize for, because again, if you try to optimize for everything, you're not going to optimize for anything. So focus on those 1 to 2 keywords per page. Maybe it's outgrowing QuickBooks. So you want to have outgrowing QuickBooks in the URL. So let's say your website is erpvar.com, and then you have / outgrowing -QuickBooks in the URL. You have the keyword in the H1, H2, and H3. So H1 is the title. H2 is like a subtitle, and an H3 is even subordinate to the H2. So H2 is subordinate to the H1, but if you have outgrowing QuickBooks in the main header title, and then you have outgrowing QuickBooks in the subtitle in the H2, and then you have outgrowing QuickBooks in the subordinate header further along in your content, then Google can see that you're not having all these titles with the same keyword, that you're breaking out your keyword in subtitles. Then it shows that you're consistent. You have your keyword. You call the picture in your article the keyword. You just have, if it's outgrowing QuickBooks and let's say it's this keyword picture, you name that picture on your desktop outgrowing QuickBooks, and then you put that in your content, and then you also have describe the picture outgrowing QuickBooks in the alt text, which you can do in WordPress or a system called HubSpot. You can make sure that it's in the programming. The alt text is called outgrowing QuickBooks. And so you have the keyword in the URL, the keyword in the subheader, in the header and the subheaders, the keyword in the meta description. So you want to make sure that if you're using WordPress, you're using something like Yoast, or if you're using HubSpot or some other content management system, that where it asks for the meta description, you have outgrowing QuickBooks. And then you have outgrowing QuickBooks in the hyperlinks from the other pages on your website to that page. Or you're guest blogging on a website like ERPVAR, and you have a hyperlink to the page on your website where you want to convert the visitor to a prospect. In the ERPVAR guest blog, you have outgrowing QuickBooks in the hyperlink, pointing back to that page on your website that you want optimized for outgrowing QuickBooks, and that you also have outgrowing QuickBooks in the meta description and these 3 separate areas and in the URL. Then you send that blog or piece of content through social media, and it gets consumed, it gets shared, and then maybe some other website wants to reference it in their material. Voila, you have optimization, and now you have authority because you had a piece of compelling content that other people wanted to read and share. And that's how it works. So you don't need to hire a separate SEO expert. A lot of times I work with partners who hire separate SEO experts because they say they do SEO, but they don't even really know what they're trying to search engine optimize for. So they're just pretty much getting paid to do something that they don't really even understand what is your strategy. So
And
being the expert is your strategy.
yeah, unfortunately, I've seen it happen way too many times where these experts come in and they actually optimize people for pages for searches that actually don't even exist. So they're too focused on getting you on the first page of Google, but they get you on the first page of Google for, again, something that nobody would ever look for, and that's just a waste of time and money.
And you think, you might think, oh, I did a search on the keyword that I paid them to optimize for, like cloud accounting, New York. Well, I'm not sure if anybody does any searches about cloud accounting New York. They might do a search for cloud accounting consultant New York, but just being off by that one keyword might not render any searches. But that type of long tail keyword search is hard to understand how many searches there are for that particular keyword search because it's not really measured. There isn't a measurable amount of searches, but just try and make sense of how, step in the shoes of your target persona, how would they do a search to find you? And then optimize your content based on that. And don't write a check to these SEO experts. Have your marketing strategy in mind and retain an expert that's going to execute on that entire strategy so that you're not missing anything. So identify your call to actions and create those call to actions and put those call to actions on the pages that are going to get trafficked and that you're going to get prospects or visitors to convert to those prospects that you can reach out to. So, some common call to actions are ebooks and white papers. So you have a button, download now. You want to have no more than 2 words on the actual button. You might have something like this, like an ebook, 11 critical inventory management mistakes to avoid, and then featured download, and then download now. That's what you want them to do. You want them to download now. So you put this button on your most trafficked pages for inventory management, let's say, and people click on that. They go to a page and they put their information in the form to get the white paper or the ebook. And now they're a prospect that has converted from visitor to prospect. And just creating this one image, you can put this on several different pages of your website that have to do with inventory management. It's not like you have to create all these individual images. And then now all of the pages that get traffic are in a position to possibly convert those visitors into prospects. Very simple. So just make sure that you identify those pages and put the calls to action on the respective pages that make sense for that target market. And voila, you're going to start seeing conversions. And then especially if you send those pages through the targeted social medias that resonate with that target market. So you could have calls to actions about contests and promotions, webinars. Maybe you have an email subscription slide in on each page of your website so you can get people to subscribe to your blog more. Maybe you're offering a free trial. These aren't as strong, but contact us, consultation, demonstration. Those are pretty weak call to actions, but you're at least asking them to do something rather than not asking them to do anything at all. Because, as we said before, there's been studies show that people have, on average, an 8-second attention span. So unless you're calling out to them on something, they might just breeze right past your page and not do anything to convert to a person that you can help educate on why they should do business with you. So commit to that ongoing content strategy. Start a blog, publish consistently. So this is something, people hire these website designers and they put it all in the website designer's hands and they have very little time to help the website designer come up with the content that is going to resonate with their target market. So the website designer's kind of left on their own recognizance to build it for them. And the website designer needs help from you because you're the expert to help them create the content. So you have to commit to that developing of your website in the first place when you're doing a redesign. And you have to make sure you're checking on that website designer, because there are designers out there that will just build this great looking website for you, but you'll lose all that compelling content that you might have had before, as in that one example that I spoke about earlier. You're spending a lot of money redesigning your content and you just want to write a check to somebody and make the headache go away. You're going to have more of a headache and lost business if you had a popular website and you lost all that compelling and all the compelling content that you had before. So you want to make sure you don't lose any of that, and you want to commit to participating in your marketing. So here's some of the things that you can do to continue your publishing. So start a blog and share your blog consistently through social media, and make sure you have a call to action in each blog. Maybe you commit to an ongoing webinar calendar where you're going to have a webinar every month on something that has to do with ERP, which is a vast, endless place of material that you can draw from. So maybe you have a GL webinar one month, maybe you have an inventory management webinar another month, the project management webinar, who knows? It's what you focus on and what target markets you want to educate. And then so once those prospects come in, you create that content, you create the workflows, the emails that you're going to trickle into them, and make sure that you're touching them on a constant basis so that they don't forget you, because of the attention span that we all have a very diminished attention span. So include your press releases and make sure you're publishing press releases so that any piece of news that you might have gets shared out in the internet. So we're running out of time here, so I'm going to go ahead and move on. So we want to write compelling content so that you can gain authority, become the expert, and get that power. And you do that by sharing your compelling content through through as many social channels as possible, and so that you can be found and seen and other people can share your content. So summary, do not fail to benchmark your current performance metrics, clearly define goals, measure where your current leads are coming from, inventory your assets, analyze your high-performing competitor metrics, understand why customers and prospects visit your current website and why they stay on your current website, and understand what call to actions might resonate with them. Identify your unique selling proposition and optimize your content for search. Place those call to actions on those highly trafficked pages that you're monitoring, and commit to an ongoing content strategy. So if you have any questions, here's my contact information. I'd love to hear from you. And I'm going to go ahead and launch a poll since we're pretty much out of time. And I so appreciate everybody being on the line with us today. And I'm going to launch this. And if you have any questions, please go ahead and click on that question mark button next to your name on the webinar pane, and I will announce your question for the audience. So I didn't touch on this much, but we at ERPVAR, we're certified HubSpot marketing partners, so we can implement and train you on HubSpot inbound marketing software. And that is a tool that will automate the inbound marketing for you, where you can see which pages are working, all the stuff that we reviewed today. You can see how pages are working for you on your website, and you can see which pages you do not want to lose. You can see how much content is being shared, what content is being shared through social media, how many visits are coming from social media, search, referrals, automating your workflow process so you can push people down the funnel. There's so many endless pieces of value for HubSpot. And then WordPress design, as John Michel is on the line. So I look at John Michel, it's so important to have a good design And it's just as important to have that consistent content strategy as well. You don't want to have one without the other. So WordPress and HubSpot go hand in hand. They don't compete. HubSpot manages your blog content and WordPress manages your overall website design. So you would have your blog on HubSpot to monitor the effectiveness of your blog and your landing pages, and you'd have the rest of your website on WordPress. And then since this webinar is sponsored by Acumatica, if you're interested in an Acumatica partnership, please click on that. And then if you are interested in an ERP VAR expert guest blog subscription, please indicate that. And thank you again, everybody, for spending this hour with us. We really appreciate your time. And let's see, do we have any questions? Oh, I see a question here. Deborah, I see that your hand is raised. I'm going to unmute your line, and please feel free to speak with us.
I was just wondering if you have a PowerPoint available of everything you went through?
Yes, I do, and I actually have a recording as well. So I'll send the PowerPoint in a follow-up email, and I'll also send the link to the YouTube recording. And we have several of these marketing recordings on our ERP VAR channel on YouTube. So if you go to youtube.com/ERP VAR, then that's our channel. And so you can see, a bunch of different marketing webinars and everything to do with ERP as well. We work with a ton of third parties. So we have a lot of third-party webinars and ERP consulting webinars in general.
Thank you very much.
I'm happy to provide that. Thank you for your question, Deborah. All right, everybody. Well, thank you. It's that time. We really appreciate you spending it with us again, and we look forward to speaking with you in the future. Join us for our next webinar, which is going to be at the end of November, and you will also get an invitation to that. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye. Thanks, Jean-Michel.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.